It's going live. We're live. I was on last week with a good friend, and we were talking about that moment that a certain legal analyst on CNN had an issue, but we were waiting for it to go live. And for 10 seconds, it wasn't live. So we were talking about Mr. Toobin, and it was live. So the opening was about Jeffrey Toobin.
Nice. I like that you pulled a Bill O'Reilly and you were like, fuck it, we'll just wing it. It's
That's all we can do.
I think that's us at our best though. When we try to plan shit, it falls apart. So winging it is just kind of us. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I mean, I probably have grass on me. I was cutting the lawn earlier. I got 2 dogs here, and nothing worked today.
I just realized as I was sitting here, I've got surfboard wax all over my knees. So yeah, I'm with you. Which tells me I'm not doing a very good job popping up because my knees shouldn't be touching the board.
Well, and also the good news is I got a bigger screen, so watch this. Thank goodness you're here. Thanks, Catherine.
Oh, that's cool.
I can actually see the comments now and pull them up.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's really cool. Excited about.
Thank goodness you're here too, Catherine. And thanks for making us feel good. That's nice.
Yeah, that confirms there's life on Earth.
Yeah. I think what's nice about this podcast is that we're actually showing up and going to work instead of just canceling everything to protect a pedophile president and his human trafficking best friends. I wish the House of Representatives could say the same, but, they've decided to take the next 6 weeks off to protect President Kankles.
Can you imagine in all the years that she was speaker, if Nancy Pelosi said, we're going to go on an early recess and advertise because we want to make sure that we don't have to vote on Jeffrey Epstein?
No, I can't. Jake Tapper would have assaulted Paul Pelosi himself. I mean,
we don't know that he didn't. We don't know that he did, but
yeah, no, I'm all the way through the rabbit hole on conspiracy theories these days. So yeah, if you want to start a rumor that Tapper assaulted the Pelosi family,
yeah, I take that back. But I've heard lots of things about Jake Tapper assaulting people, so I don't take that back.
Ooh, yeah, I'm with you there. And it's funny because he's not what you'd call a tough guy by any means. No.
And can I say, while we're talking about Jake Tapper, I was really upset to learn today that my 2 dogs that I love, which I believe I know the breeders of, Jake Tapper had introduced me to the breeder who Frosh, the AG in Maryland, has shut down for business for being a puppy mill.
Oh my God.
So I love my dogs. Thank you, Jake, for the introduction. But I believe he introduced me to a puppy mill.
Whoa. Yeah, I thought Moose and Simba were adopted.
Moose and Simba were found through a breeder because Cameron got a terrible allergy to our cats out of nowhere. We spent 6 months finding the right home for them, but his eyes would blow up and all this kind of stuff. Anyhow, the place that he introduced me to has been shut down in Maryland, and not all the dogs, but it was tied to a puppy mill.
Man, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
we're probably gonna get some emails over this.
Probably, but we're honest here. I mean,
we are honest. Yeah.
I thought I was supporting a local breeder in Iowa, and I'm not really sure what we wound up with.
This is Democrats in a nutshell. We've been handed this pedophilia scandal on a silver platter, and instead we go on streaming and admit to being part of puppy mills. It's like we just can't help ourselves. We're
totally, yeah. I mean, we could sit here and say that right now Pam Bondi and company are meeting in the basement of Comet Pizza, but the reality is we don't play by their rules, and there is no basement in Comet Pizza.
The Alamo.
Yeah. I know what you're referring to. And
I'm so glad you do. Usually my pop culture.
There's some good movies out there. Steve Martin's coming to mind right now as well.
For those who don't know, that was a reference to Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's there is no basement in the Alamo.
There is not. As far as we know. Republicans probably think there is.
And tell them Large Marge sent you. Speaking of Large Marge, Marjorie Taylor Greene is joining a lot of us on the warpath calling for the Epstein files to be released. It's a strange fucking thing to be on the same side as some of these absolute nut jobs.
Yeah. And also, speaking of her, our friend Sean Harris, who's running for Congress again against her, who outperformed the presidential ticket by a larger margin than only 2 districts in the country last cycle, not only outraised her, but she really seems like she's going to be out soon. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, she's
I love
sort of
Ossoff pushing her, but I
yeah.
think she wants to run for governor, lose, and then go do whatever she's going to do.
It's so funny watching these freaks and trying to like ascertain like some, insight into what they're thinking or doing. And it's just, I don't know.
And
It's like,
Sam does not call her a freak because she has 3 toes on each foot, just for the record.
no, I'm calling her a freak because she's a freak. I think my assumption is that the other 7 toes ran away because they didn't want anything to do with her. Uh,
Wait, no, hold
man,
on. 3,
three,
6, the
three
other
toes and
4.
3 toes and cankles. We're all about the.
The other 4 toes. Yeah. I worked for Hillary Clinton for 15 years and they attacked her every week for quote unquote cankles. And again, projection. It was
Yeah,
all Donald Trump.
it was all about the trankles. Yeah.
So what's on your mind before we pull up, today's daily newsletter and anything else other than, by the way, we should probably be a little more somber because we went into this and we lost Ozzy Osbourne.
Man, I tell you, it's been a shit week for us Gen Xers. Starting yesterday, finding out that Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned in Costa Rica. It's hard to overstate how influential the Cosby Show was on me when I was a kid. And seeing Malcolm Jamal Warner in the show Community wearing those sweaters like the scumbag dad of the group did used to, it puts such a huge smile on my face. And I don't know, it's one of those things where I feel like the world is a little bit darker without him in it.
Totally. And
As
Erica, who was on the show, has just been an incredible Dem supporting, Democrats up and down the ballot for years.
Mhm. Yeah, and Ozzy, shit, man, I don't even know what to say. Ozzy's like the soundtrack of my life. I mean, I literally used to sit in my little pickup truck uh, before high school soccer games, listening to Crazy Train and No More Tears on repeat, just to get psyched up for the game. I still listen to Black Sabbath nonstop. I mean, Ozzy,
That's a 1988 Ford Ranger for those tuning in.
83
Oh,
Ford Ranger.
83.
Yes, I
83.
nicknamed
Okay.
it Freedom, and it was a great truck. But yeah, man, Ozzy, I still listen to Black Sabbath all the time. I mean, Paranoid's just an all-time fucking great album. But also, I mean, just think about like what Ozzy brought to like rock and roll lore. I mean, the story of him snorting ants off the sidewalk while touring with Motley Crue, or pissing on the Alamo. Hey, we're talking about the Alamo again. Or biting the head off a bat. I mean, the Ozman was real rock and roll. And I tell you, there's this unhoused man at the beach where I surf. He's hanging out there all the time, and I chat with him usually. And I told him today that Ozzy had died, and his immediate reaction was, "Well, he and Randy are together again." And he's talking about guitarist Randy Rhoads, who died way too young, played guitar on Crazy Train. So yeah, I like to think he and Randy are absolutely jamming right now. And so yeah, R.I.P. to an original.
That's a true thought. The bat I forgot about, but was probably one of the most notorious things in terms of like folks that have just maybe heard about him a little bit. Probably heard about.
I am a sucker for great rock and roll stories. Like my favorite book of all time is probably either All the King's Men by Robert Penn Warren or Dirt by Motley Crue. I loved Behind the Music when it came out. Um, I'm used to all of this, all of the decadence and wildness being contained to rock and roll and not the Oval Office. And yet here we are.
Yeah, it's one of those things too where like you almost wish a week ago we were doing this, or less than a week on Thursday, and we talked about him while he was still here. You know what I mean? It's just like so many times we talk about these people when they're gone.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah, I know. I tell you, one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. I interviewed Slash last year. I think it was last year, and just by coincidence, we were talking about the
Just
Allman
for LA
Brothers.
Mag?
Yeah, for LA Magazine. And I'm a huge Guns N' Roses fan. Like Appetite changed my life. And just by coincidence, we were talking about the Allman Brothers and Dickie Betts. We were talking about his influence on Slash's guitar playing. And what we, there's no way we could have known at the time was that right about the time we were talking about this stuff, Dickie Betts died. And so it was just one of those, interesting, cool coincidences in life that we were like giving the man his flowers, talking praise about him as his life was ending. And I don't know, I just felt really fortunate to be able to have that conversation with Slash about another Hall of Fame rock and roller.
Yeah, I mean that was really cool. I pretended I didn't know where it was in case people just wanted to look it up. So LA Magazine and
Yeah.
Sam Youngman.
Should we talk about politics?
Yeah, maybe also start here with we'll go through here. I don't know if does that work if I scroll up like that? It does. Today, the title of our newsletter was Epstein August exclamation mark. Sam, what's going on here?
The Republican Party is freaking the fuck out. That's what's going on here. Mike Little Johnson and House Republicans have shut down Congress to prevent a vote on releasing the Epstein files. What we're talking about here is a massive cover-up that involves both the legislative and the executive branches. We found out this morning that Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche, who's now at the DOJ, because of course, is going to meet with, and by the way, I've never known how to pronounce this. Is it Ghislaine Maxwell? Whatever. Yeah, I don't know either.
I have no fucking clue.
I think I'm just going to call her Trash Madam from now on. So yeah,
it's definitely or you could call her the Gray Lady. I mean, it's not like they're doing anything, different than her.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Trash Madam.
Okay,
but yeah,
all right.
So Todd Blanche.
Sam's like, I don't want to get sued. Let's stick with that for now.
I'm also just an egomaniac. I like the shit that I come up with.
You're an egomaniac.
I know, shocking news to you. I know. But no, it's pretty horrifying that basically this guy, Todd Blanche, who's one of Trump's henchmen, is going to meet with Maxwell, presumably to let them get their stories straight, or to, dangle a pardon but only if she says the right shit. You see Trump in the Oval Office today continuing to threaten President Obama. He's just flat out calling for him to be arrested right now. My favorite part of this is he says, quote, whether it's right or wrong. It's like, oh yeah, who gives a shit about right or wrong? You're only the fucking president. The thing is that,
yeah, they were calling on him to testify, which is illegal and they can't. But I think this week you also talked about a tan thong.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We knew these were all transparent distractions, right? And we were just talking about this last week about how we don't come after people and say, hey, that's a distraction or this is a distraction. But these are fucking distractions. I mean, it is really obvious. We're bringing out Hillary's emails. We're bringing out Martin Luther King's, FBI files. And now we're talking about arresting Obama. So yeah, it is. It's rare to see Trump this completely panicked and freaked out. I mean, he was just on Truth Social a little bit ago saying everybody's talking about the Epstein hoax, which, obviously is not a hoax. I have to say, though, I right before we came on, I found myself getting mad at former President Obama. He had his spokesman put out a statement. This is outrageous and bizarre attempt to distract. And it's just like, oh, my God, I forgot that he's the professor and that, just calling out Trump and Epstein would be too fucking difficult for us Democrats to do. Like, God forbid we talk like normal human beings in a way that actually lands a punch. Instead, let's do the most boring fucking statement we can imagine so we can make sure we get that New York Times headline about Trump and Obama feuding. What is it that our party has against just punching somebody in the fucking nose after they've been punching you?
I mean, it would be amazing if Obama just came out and said, fuck off,
or hey,
end of story.
Or just, actually go out there himself and say, hey, nice try, Trump, but we all want to see the Epstein files. How fucking hard would that be? It didn't
I know he's not
going
to do what I suggested because he's a nice guy with manners, but that would be a way to go, the way you're
Well,
suggesting.
I mean, I think it's more than he's a nice guy with manners. It's that he's spent most of his time in public life, being held to a higher standard than anybody else around him. And so he does always do that high road thing or that professor thing, even when we're begging him to put on the brass knuckles and throw a goddamn punch. You know, I think the reason I'm frustrated is because we defend him every day. And it's just like, why the hell are we more invested in this? Why are we angrier? Why are we fighting harder than he is? It's I don't know, after a while it just gets damn frustrating. But I think I'm probably speaking for a lot of Democrats who are frustrated, who you know, I feel like, you know, we've seen House Democrats, we've seen Senate Democrats really doing a good job of hitting Trump on this Epstein stuff. I don't think anybody's doing a better job than Ron Wyden, by the way, who has really been putting some investigative chops behind this shit. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one
Who,
of
by
those.
the way, has been incredible for I don't know, at least 2 decades. I mean, I remember when I
Oh
got
yeah,
to the Senate with Hillary back in '03, and she always loved him. But
yeah.
he's always, you know, he's always been like working hard, staying under the radar. But now he's out there like, all right, if others aren't going to do this, I'm going to do what Sam just said I'm doing.
Yeah, no, he's a star. He's one of those, like, he's a workhorse, right? He's not a show horse, he's a workhorse. He's the one who's grinding, you know, finding real documents, finding real scandals and putting them out there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and I'm not the first person to say this, but I feel like we are constantly fighting with one hand tied behind our back. And it's just, you know, there are times when maybe that's okay because we want to score points for civility or bipartisanship or what the fuck ever. But that time has passed. We're now dealing with a president who wants to put people in prison who haven't done anything. We're dealing with a president who's opening fucking concentration camps. We're dealing with a criminal president who is weaponizing the United States government against every enemy he's ever had in his fucked up mind. And our politeness and quotes about Ben Franklin's just not going to get it fucking done anymore. And I know I sound like I know I'm channeling Hunter Biden these days, but well, not the first time.
I mean, yeah, the Hunter stuff. I mean, we can get to that later, but that was I've had a few more thoughts since we sent out the newsletter this morning, and we praised but said we weren't what to think about it. But what you just said reminds me of a call that I was on about 2 hours ago, and there was he's 51 years old. He's a Black American, incredible guy, who's been going through a lot, had some health issues the last couple of years. But you know, he was talking about Medicaid and Stephen Miller and everything. He goes, you know, what's crazy about this is he's like, I'm all in. He's like, but this is what I've been going through my entire fucking life in this country as a Black guy, you know, and he's going through just X, Y, and Z. And I really think that, you know, the Republicans are really pushing the envelope here, and people that have not felt pain are feeling it for the first time, and people who know what this is like, who've been dealing with this for decades, are like, all right, you know what? You may not have been with me the last 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, but welcome. We are the big fucking tent, and let's fight back together.
Yeah, I had a really sort of mortifying realization after the 2016 election, where I realized, like, to people like me, it was just sort of like, you know, oh shit, America's racist and self-destructive. And my Black friends were like, yeah, no fucking shit, where you been? And you know, it was just one of those it was one of those humbling moments where I was sort of brought back down to earth and my eyes were open a little bit. Um, Unfortunately, not a lot has changed since then. In fact, if anything,
Well,
it's
you've
getting
been there
worse.
all along, because not to cut you off, but I did cut you off. Sorry. One thing you said that we posted together, which is like ingrained in me, you know, like literally I can read it in my memory, is the next time someone tells you America is not a racist country, remind them they're willing to accept treason from a white president, but not healthcare from a Black one.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really sums up exactly who we are as a people, which is really fucking depressing. And, you know, what we're dedicated to trying to change with, you know, the limited time we have here on Earth. Um, yeah, it's
Which
fucking,
reminds me of another thing you told me. I think your sister said it to you. It's probably a famous quote, though. The days are long, the years are short.
This is
The
true.
older you get, it gets quicker.
It really does. I'm definitely feeling my mortality these days. It's, you know, if it can happen to Ozzy, it can happen it can happen to any of us.
Let's just not eat any bats or try anything else unique.
Honestly, there were years of my life where I was living just like that man, except without the musical talent. And if he could make it to 76, then I feel like, hey, we all can.
Yeah, I know, I think so, but it's still so young,
Yeah,
But
no, it is. It's
in the grand scheme of the fact that like under COVID, things feel like a year ago that were 6 years ago.
yeah.
I think he
You
lived a
mentioned.
pretty long, good life because he seemed like he was a little out there and out of it for a while.
Oh yeah, man. If you like go back and watch his behind the music from the 90s, I mean, it is shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll learn more about it, but the fact that he was surrounded by family and stuff,
Yeah.
I don't know the details. If this was a decision he made, who knows? We'll learn. But I think he lived a good life, and he's
You
got
know,
a
you
nice outpouring of support. By the way, he was born, I think I told you, in the same place as my mom. She's also from Birmingham, in the UK, and they were born in
not
the same
Alabama,
location.
not
No,
Birmingham, Alabama.
no, the
Yeah.
UK,
By the way,
which
you
is a
mentioned
safer place
something.
to be nowadays. Not surprising.
Yeah, I get that. You mentioned your friend who, as he said, has been fighting these battles his whole life. I had that sort of moment a couple of months ago. Bernie and AOC did one of their rallies out here in LA, and I went. And Neil Young and Jane Fonda were two of the warm up acts. And I was watching Neil Young play "Rocking in the Free World," which is fucking awesome. I feel very lucky to hear him play that. But I've heard him play it in person a lot, going back to the 2004 campaign. And he and Jane Fonda have been at it a lot longer than that. And I just had this really sort of sad feeling of like, man, can we not let these people rest? Like, this is their whole lives, is fighting fascism. And then I sort of realized, like, it's all of our whole lives. Like, these are not wars that you win. These are wars that you keep fighting. And I think a lot of us we didn't realize that after '08. We didn't realize that after 2012. We didn't know just how determined the forces of racism and fascism were to sort of set things right in their mind. Um, but
Yeah,
it
it's a good
just,
point too, especially in
yeah.
'08, because after Barack Obama was elected, despite a lot of the stuff that we heard in '09, for the majority of his presidency, the folks that we see today were in hiding, I
Oh,
don't want to use the term in the closet, but like they were just not like they are today, right?
no. Well, I mean, you also had it was not fashionable to be a Nazi. Like, people were ashamed of that. It was not fashionable to be a racist. People were ashamed of that. They didn't have the cover of DEI or CRT or whatever the New York Times used to help them cloak it. Racists were still hiding under white hoods and whispering their racist bullshit on Reddit. It was Trump who, put wind under their wings and said, "Hey, come out of the shadows. Let's be racist in the light together."
Right.
Mitt Romney's a complete wuss, but he got it right when he said he refused to endorse Trump in 2016 and said, "Look, I worry about the quote he used was trickle down racism." He said, Trump's racism will, filter down into the American people. And he's absolutely right. I
Yeah.
don't know if did you see, I've never heard of this
And
show,
by the way, I think the way that you put it was they were there and it was sort of more, almost like more dog whistles, but like the hoods came off
Yeah.
under Trump.
Did you see? I had never heard of this show, Jubilee. I guess it's a YouTube show where like 20 right wing nut jobs
Yeah,
sit
yeah, yeah, yeah,
around.
yeah. Yeah.
And so Mehdi Hassan went on this week, and it is fucking shocking how comfortable some of these young folks are wearing fascism on their sleeve. One dude even got fired from his job and already raised like $21,000 on a fundraising drive, which I hope he makes that last, because unless he gets a job in the Trump administration, which let's not let's not rule that out.
It's
He's
good for
basically made
about
himself.
like 8 gallons of gas and yeah, baker's dozen of eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's like three hamburgers in the Trump economy. But I mean, I tell you, I was seeing people debating should Mehdi be doing a show like that, giving those racist and those fascists some credibility. And I don't know the answer to that. I do like the idea of
I think it's super
somebody.
smart. I mean,
Yeah.
Kyle had flagged it, I think 24 hours ago or 36 hours ago, he's doing it. And I was like, look, it could be 200 people and he's going to eat them for lunch. I mean, this
Yeah,
guy can
he's a
take out
star.
anybody. So I wasn't necessarily surprised someone lost their job,
Mhm.
but I do think it is it's a good platform, because even, my oldest son will sometimes pull it up and watch, Ben Shapiro get his ass kicked on it. And I
Mhm.
think people learn a lot from it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I also think I always think the debate over blue sky is stupid. Like, who is anybody to tell you how to enjoy social media? Like, there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. Um, but I keep my Twitter account and I still occasionally tweet. And it's not because I want to support a Nazi asshat like Elon Musk. It's because I want to throw a punch at the fucking right wingers who live on Twitter, and I can't do that from Blue Sky. At least not not them seeing it. So yeah, every
Well,
once in
we're
a while I like
live
to.
on Twitter,
Yeah,
we'll call it formerly X. We'll keep calling it Twitter.
yeah,
We are live there right now. You've tweeted there a few more times recently, but
yeah.
the reality is that is where the Republicans are, and that is where the reporters all still live in their bubble.
The way I think about it is, it's like sneaking into Trump's house and leaving him an upper decker in his bathroom. That's the way. That's the way I think about it. Like it's just a
But you
it's
got to
just a
like plow through all the files.
Oh yeah, no, it's gross. It's a fucking cesspool. But it's where all those people live, and every once in a while I like to break in their house and drop a deuce on the carpet.
I love that for him,
Yeah.
not because I'm into dropping deuces on a carpet.
I know.
Okay, I'm gonna pull this up really quickly.
Yeah.
Let's see. We had in here today.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to just say for everybody joining us, thanks for joining us early this week. I'm the reason we're having to go on Tuesday instead of Thursday. I'm flying home to Kentucky to see the family and hug my nieces and nephews. Um, it's kind of daunting flying into Red America, except I've got a kick-ass governor back there and some great barbecue. So I'm looking forward to getting home. But thanks for joining us early.
Yeah, we're 2 days early here. I don't know why this is stuck. Um, but I appreciate you not putting that on me. It is Sam, but we
Yeah,
want
no,
him
it's
to
my
get
fault.
home. We want him to get home and see folks. Okay, so we had a couple different things here today in the newsletter that I wanted to pull up, one of which yeah, I think this will work. Let's pull this up and share it.
Somebody just said in the chat, "Wait, it's not Thursday." I feel you. I feel you so much.
I
I only
know.
I only know it's Tuesday because this is when new movies come out. I didn't have to work this morning, so I was able to go surf. That's the only that's the
You know,
only
the
way
funny
I
thing
know.
about that too is like when somebody feels that where it's like it's a Friday or it's a Sunday and everyone does, right? We're
Yeah.
just like we all feel exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Um, we'll see if this works here, but I wanted to put up
Yeah.
the Colbert video from it's only like maybe 20 seconds from the newsletter this morning. Let's give this a shot.
On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings." How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it. It's direct, it's clear, A+ messaging.
It
Now
is.
compare that to Jon Stewart, who goes off about CBS bending the knee, but just can't help himself and has to throw in a shot at Biden too. Now, did I take away the overall message Jon Stewart was hoping I would? No, I did not, because I walked away remembering how Jon Stewart has a habit of both sidesing bullshit all the time. How hard is it to
almost
just
worse
not
than
vote?
others
It's
sometimes.
just, it honestly, it drives me fucking insane. I
But
don't know.
it didn't used to be like that. I'm just curious,
Mm.
maybe after the thought that I just interrupted, but I'd also like to know why you think that is the case.
I just think he's like a lot of people. He's almost got the same sort of thing that Tapper does, which is they think they're above it. They think, you know, there's people on the left over here shouting, there's people over here on the right shouting, but we're in the middle. We're the smart people who rise above it all to tell you what's really going on. You know, they're too good for the gutter that the rest of us all live in, and it's insulting. You know, I really admired when Stewart got involved over the burn pit legislation. I thought there's a
Same
man.
here. I
There's a
thought that
man.
was like the turning point where like
Yeah.
that would be the focus.
Well, if nothing else, you would think it would have been eye-opening for him in terms of realizing, hey, both sides aren't the same, and fixing this shit isn't as easy as I make it sound on television. And instead, it didn't at all. You know, he took some time off, and then he came back and went back to doing the same shit he always has done. And it's just, to
It's like
me,
50% John Stewart himself, and then like 50% he pretends to be Bill Maher.
there's that. Yeah, no, there is that. I also think it's just a reality. If you're a multimillionaire who spent most of your adult life on television, you're probably not as in touch with the common man as you think you are. You know, Bill Maher is a co-owner of a fucking weed lounge in West Hollywood. He's been on TV since the 90s, and he thinks he's fucking Joe Main Street. And it's like, no, you're not. I mean, I really appreciate a lot about Jon Stewart, but there are so many times when it just seems like he's so close to getting it, but he wants to maintain his both sides, you know, punk rock cred, and not be seen on one side or the other. And to me, if you're not picking a side these days, then you've already picked a side.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And the other issue that we run into is that we have that with so many people in our own party too, right? Like we're talking about Jon Stewart, but I don't know,
Yeah.
3-4 months ago, it was Brian Schatz, who continues
Yeah.
even today to do an incredible job. But he was one of, I don't know, 10 members that voted in a way that shouldn't have. So it's very hard to like cheer these people on and then get punched in the face by them. And then the next day, they're right there where you need them to be.
Well, and I think you're seeing, especially
Cory
among,
Booker too, right?
yeah, no, no, but
Jared
it's
Kushner's
a
father-in-law.
long list. I mean, there are very few Democrats, especially Washington Democrats, who can say they are 100% opposed to Donald Trump and fascism, because most of them have voted with him quite a bit. They do exist, but most of the real battlers are out in the states. You know, obviously there are a few people like Jasmine Crockett comes to mind who have given Trump no quarter. They've been in this fight from the beginning and they're not fucking around. And I really appreciate that. But no, it is enormously disappointing when the people on our side bend or, you know, go along with this stuff after they've just, you know, riled us up and they've, you know, made us think that we're all in this together. You know, I don't ever want to be a purity Democrat, because purity, you know, looking for purity in politics is like looking for love in a strip club. Like, you're a fucking idiot if you think that's where you're going to find it. But I do think,
And you
especially,
can't find it in a single, not your example, purity, right? You go to Arkansas and like every corner of Arkansas is different than the other corner. And you're going to have people that are going to step up, and we're just not going to be there on all the issues with them. But at
Yeah.
some point we need to help these people get elected and build a party around them.
Well, I'll tell you this, if we ever want to win young voters again, we're going to have to get over this shit, because they do not do this talking out of both sides of your mouth stuff. They are ready for change. They're sick and fucking tired of people pretending like they're on the same side as them. I think there are quite a few Democrats, national Democrats, who are playing with fire when it comes to Zoran Mamdani, you know, sort of trying to make him jump through hoops to try and get endorsement, or, you know, sort of, you know, repeating Republican talking points about him. You know, young voters are paying attention and they do not like this shit. They're of all the people, they're probably the ones who are most likely to believe Jon Stewart that both parties are the same. And to me, the way you win them back is by standing for something, being very clear about what you stand for, and then defending it. And that's what I'd like to see more from our party. What do you got? You got to go?
No, I need to figure out how to make it stop. That's Aaron Black. calling. So, hey, Aaron, you're messing up our show. The thing that kind of drives me nuts a little bit on some of this stuff, I need to figure out how to stop that.
Do you not know
Is
how to turn your phone off?
I'm gonna mute, but I'm gonna ask. Well, not. It's not popping up.
I'm the
I'm on
fucking
do not
senior
disturb.
citizen here. How?
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna pull up a clip. I'm gonna mute myself. We're gonna pull up a clip. It's 1 minute and 55 seconds, but it's from you today, and then we'll regroup.
We sit here and we talk about the one guy because there's a clear legal path to being able to get him back. What about all those other people? Am I not supposed to feel for someone? Am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration? Fuck you. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your fucking table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your fucking garden? Who do you think is here by the fucking sheer fucking just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance. And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals. White men in America are 45 more times likely to commit a fucking violent crime than an immigrant. And the media says, well, you got David Axelrod and, Rahm fucking Emanuel. So fucking smart, Rahm Emanuel. Is that we got to understand that these people are really mad. And we got to appeal to these white voters. Rahm, the only people that fucking appealed to those fucking white voters was Joe Biden, 81 years old. And he got 81 million votes. And he did not because he appeased their fucking Trumpian sense, but because he challenged it. And he said, you can be an 81-year-old Catholic from fucking Scranton that doesn't understand it, but still has empathy for transgender people and immigrants. And then nobody said, oh, Joe Biden's going to turn us into a socialist state, no matter how much they said it. But these guys think that we need to run away from all values in order for us to lead. I say, fuck you. How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade. It's a fucking crime what they're doing. We sit here and we talk about the one guy.
All right. I think we finally found somebody who cusses more than I do.
By the way, can I just say, I know everyone's like, oh my God, if you were president in 2 years or 4 years, look, he can say whatever the fuck he wants because Don Jr.'s out there saying the same thing.
Yeah. And presumably way more coked up. Isn't it crazy how much Hunter sounds like his dad? So this is that's like what Joe Biden would sound like if he talked the way we kind of wanted him to.
That was Joe Biden in the 2008 debates before he got out without the curse words.
Without the curse words, yes. I saw another clip of Hunter this morning. He was talking about Trump's cognitive decline. And he was just like, they showed the clip of Trump talking about how the Civil War and the Declaration of Independence. And, they're somehow related. And Hunter's just like, where the fuck is Jake Tapper? It's like, but the thing is.
I love the Stephen Miller clip, by the way, where I think it was maybe Republicans Against Trumpism made Stephen Miller this big walking behind Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one running shit. But no, I think, look, I'm not the first person to say this. There were other people I noticed saying it on social media yesterday. But look, Hunter Biden is more effective messenger this week than 80% of elected Democrats. And you know why? Because he's talking honestly. He's shooting from the hip. He's saying what he feels and what's on his mind. He's not using poll tested phrases and lines. He has values that he believes in that he's defending, and he's doing it like a human being does, not like,
he's doing what Donald Trump has been doing for years, except on the right side of history and with facts and being honest.
Yeah. And look, I'm not going to go.
There's nothing to fucking worry about. We all wanted to see the pardon and many more,
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And, look, I'm not going to say, look, Hunter Biden should run for office or keep talking. I don't know if that's true. I honestly don't know if it does us or him any good to keep talking. What I do know is the Republican Party, with allies like Jake Tapper, were happy to smear that man for years in ways that they would never do to any other American. They certainly wouldn't do it to a Republican. They wouldn't do it to fucking Don Jr. But they were happy to eat Hunter Biden alive. You know, the last surviving child of Joe Biden, and they could not destroy him enough. So the idea that, you know, he needs to be reprimanded for getting some shit off his chest, I disagree with completely. I think the man has earned the right to speak. I think sometimes we can just cheer somebody on without anointing them the new leader of the party. But I also think it's a problem for our party that we're constantly looking for new leaders, and we're constantly asking, why can't our people talk like him? Where's the unvarnished truth? Where is the emotion? Where is the demonstration that you get it? Because it's just missing from too many people.
Which I think is such a good point. Like, neither of us want to be president, and neither of us want to be leaders of the party. So, you know, Hunter, if you're listening, you're welcome to have your semi-annual, I don't know, decade therapy session weekly with Sam and Adam.
Yes.
We'd love to have you.
It's
okay. I got a couple questions from Substack.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I mean, that guy curses more than us.
I know, it's a lot. I was kind of shocked, and it's hard to do.
Sam, question. Do you think Murdoch, JD, and Thiel are cooking up something behind the scenes? I missed the first 25 minutes. You may have discussed this. We didn't really, but Murdoch, JD, and Thiel.
Yeah, I don't think we've even put it in the newsletter. This is one that kind of slipped through my fingers. But yeah, JD Vance, Jelly Donut Vance, met secretly with the Murdoch family this week, or maybe it was last week. And it's like, you know, they're probably not sharing pot roast recipes, right? Like, they're coming up with something. It's so interesting to me, and also gross, trying to figure out what the fuck the Murdochs are doing. Like, on the one hand, the Wall Street Journal news section is kicking ass. They're not afraid of Trump. They fearlessly publish this story about this gross birthday card that Trump sent Epstein. But then Fox News is doing a complete blackout. Like, no mentions of Epstein, all Obama, all the time. And it's like, okay, so what's Rupert doing here? Is he trying to just satisfy two masters? And if so, who's the other one besides Trump? But it's the idea that they're already lining up behind Vance does not surprise me at all. He was basically created in a lab by Peter Thiel to be a right-wing scumbag for the rest of his life. So yeah, no, it wouldn't surprise me at all if, I think the thing that makes it really funny, though, is how fucking paranoid Trump is, right? Like, his whole life he thinks of as an episode of The Apprentice. And so he's sweating. Unless he sent Vance there to, get involved on the Epstein stuff, then he's probably pretty fucking nervous that JD's hanging out with the Murdochs. And I just saw JD's planning another family vacation. How many fucking vacations is he going to take? Don't get me wrong. Anything that keeps him off the couch, I'm in favor of. But that's a lot.
I also saw, and by the way, that was from Andrea Calcagno. So thank you for that on Substack. I saw that JD Vance, on what limited information we still get publicly, I saw on the calendar yesterday that the president and JD Vance had lunch at 12:30. It said 12:30 to 12:30. Usually it says, 12:30 to 2 right, or something like that. So I don't know how long it lasted, but from what we've heard.
I love that you caught that. It reminds me of in Caddyshack when they have Caddy Day at the pool and it's from 12 to 12:05.
Yeah, literally. That's exactly what I thought of. And it was like, is that a full minute, or, is that, but what we've heard from, I'll say my sources, in the event that there's a lawsuit, and, I don't want Sam involved, but from what I've heard from people that are always sort of, honest, and I believe, is that JD had tried to launch a super PAC and a couple months ago, and Trump nixed that. So it's between that, coupled with what we just talked about, coupled with, the lunch, coupled with JD and his 2028, Trump hat on blue sky. We know he is a cuck, but to what extent, Trump is actually going to stand behind this guy that, prances around Disney.
Yeah, I don't think jaundice dick nipples has anything to worry about. I mean, it's not like Trump has ever sent a mob after one of his vice presidents to kill him before, right? I'm sure he's fine.
No, But the question, right, is like, who do we actually get behind? But that assumes what everyone would say is, are there elections next year, and are there elections in 2028? Which reminds me, do you know how many? I haven't seen an update from our friend and longtime 6-year reader on how many different names you've used for JD.
I don't know, but I'll tell you, it's
263 last time or something.
It's a lot more challenging coming up with them on the fly here instead of sitting behind a laptop and doing it.
You just know in your head that you have not used something before?
No, I'll tell you. A couple of weeks ago, I even Googled what are words that start with J. Like I was that desperate. But no, I saw somebody say like, "Oh, nice AI." No, we do not use AI. We come up with these using our noggins. That's why they're so fucking weird. But yeah, it's
there are a
God,
lot of
what a
people on
miserable
Substack that use AI, though. We're not going to call them out, but none here.
We're human made.
That's why there's a notice about spelling mistakes, and you all flag, every time we're wrong.
Yeah, that's what I was
daily
gonna
basis.
say. AI would not make the fucking typos that we do.
Yeah, this is like reminds me of a video I saw recently with what they would call a Karen on Instagram, where the woman asks to see the manager, and the person goes, "That's me. If you ever want to see Sam's editor, I have to go. Let me get him, and I come back, and I'm the editor."
I like that. You could just turn your hat around. Yeah, and you're the
I can do
manager.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
On Substack, Kimmy Wynn says the Democrats seem to kind of treat Crockett like crap, and I don't understand. I will say you're not wrong.
Yeah.
And I know I know from a number of people that I've talked to that there's a number of people in leadership that have gone out of their way to try to keep her quieter, which is very disappointing, right? We want to lift up these voices and we want to see them out there. And she's continued to sort of do everything she can to, be in every position she wants to. But for our friend Jasmine, and Sam may have more to add, just, keep doing what you're doing and be the voice that you're being, because, everyone wants to hear you around the country. You don't need a specific platform in Congress to do what you're doing.
Yeah. It's disappointing is not a strong enough word for it. Treating
I'm fucking tired of it. But
no, I'm with you, man.
I'm the therapist. This is your session.
I appreciate that. I'm with you. No, I wish Republicans had a monopoly on treating black women like shit, but unfortunately, that's an American thing. I think what we're dealing with in leadership a lot of times, their guiding principle is don't do anything that will upset the white racist. And that's a pretty stupid fucking way to navigate through politics in this day and age. Jasmine Crockett is not afraid. She's not poll testing stuff. She's saying what needs to be said. And she's saying it in a way that a lot of Americans understand, because a lot of Americans sound just like her. And the idea that we would want to muzzle her or put her on the bench because we're afraid we're going to upset the fucking people who are building concentration camps, to me, that's a moral failing in our party. We keep seeing this, and I brought up Mamdani earlier, but we keep seeing this where we have these young leaders who aren't afraid of this moment, and they are willing to speak truth to fascism. And there's this you ever ride it's just a silly example, but have you ever ridden in a golf cart that has a governor on it so it won't go above a certain speed?
Oh, I'm very familiar with it. I worked at a golf club for 5 years, and you have to tap that thing over and over and hold it down to get over the governor.
So that's what Democrats are. Every time the golf cart gets going, it gets a little speed. There's somebody there to say, well, you can't go that fast. And it's
such a good point. Yeah.
It's not even just frustrating. It's infuriating. It's we're all paddling this boat as desperately as we can away from the falls we're about to go over. And there are people in the boat with us that are like, let's fucking paddle sideways. Or, you're not doing it right. You're using the wrong oar. And it's just like, man, we're trying to fucking keep from going over the waterfalls. Can we pick another time to nitpick this shit? Anyway, I am on the side of people, candidates, officials who talk like normal fucking people. If they're mad, they should sound mad. If they're outraged, they should sound outraged. They should stop talking like they're a human fucking press release, because nobody wants to hear it. And in fact, nobody does hear it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's a lot of people that hadn't seen the Hunter interview until we put out the first piece of it.
Oh shit, y'all are missing out. It's a hoot
Well,
and a
and
half.
they're loving it. Scott Davis said it was the first time he saw it was from the newsletter, and Elise Kress said, "Hey, I didn't know I love Hunter."
Right. I know. I'll tell you the thing it reminds me of, and
Oh wait, hold on, Sam. I just got to tell you, Claudia Miller. In case I lose this one, the party. This reminds me of maybe it was '69, but it's the one you always say. Claudia Miller. The party needs to get back to our roots of the '60s, '70s. Sorry, folks, I'm the oldster here. But
I mean,
there
I
was a
generally
thing that
agree.
you said, like in the last year or two, that
Yeah.
like what was it that we needed to get back to?
Well, I mean, there was the summer of love that, you know, I appreciate, although I don't know that I agree with that. Like in 68, you know, 72, I mean, 68 we won, 72, you know, 68, think about the Chicago Convention and what a mess that was. But then in 72, we got our fucking asses kicked. Like we won
But I
two
mean, not from like
states.
an electoral standpoint. I just mean people standing up. There was
Oh, I agree.
yeah.
Well, not only that, but I would really love to see like the artistic spirit of that era come back. You know,
Exactly.
we talk about Neil Young and Jane Fonda, and it's like, where are their successors? Where are the people that are going to pick up that torch so they don't have to keep fighting this fight? Um, yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say.
Even if it, you know, Jonas Brothers, Waffle House, if you're listening,
I'll take whatever I can
Big
get,
Tent,
man. Yeah,
we'll do it all.
Yeah,
I feel like Sabrina Carpenter is like could bring both worlds together pretty well.
Yeah, I'd be in favor of that. She seems pretty cool. I don't remember what we were talking about before
Yeah, before I cut you off, I'll just stop
No, it's
cutting
okay.
you off. I'm gonna start to do David Letterman and just go like this and write everything down so I don't forget because my ADHD gets ahead of me.
Yeah, for me,
so
it's
Hunter,
decades of
bravo,
weed use.
Hunter's great. Everyone,
What's that?
no, just like so much love for Hunter. The epitome of that is Elise Slotkin. She wants us to throw the marginalized folks under the bus. PJ Schuster.
Yeah, there is this sense right now among a lot of Democrats that they can't win in the Rust Belt, or they can't win if they don't throw trans people under the bus. And I don't believe that. And I'll tell you a big reason I don't believe that is a guy named Andy Bashir. In today's newsletter, we have a link to Andy is in Vogue. And I don't mean he's like fashionable right now. Like he's actually in the magazine Vogue this week. It cracked me up. Andy tweeted, "I'm the first guy in Vogue wearing Gap jeans." It is, if you've ever met Andy or been around him, it is kind of funny to think of him in Vogue. But he's a guy.
You're so quick. I really tried to like beat you to this. This is what I had ready, and
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I love the Gap shout out.
Yeah. But I mean, he's such a dad, right? Like he's like sort of a corny little league dad. It's just what he is. But he's also proof that we don't have to throw people under the bus. We don't have to sacrifice their humanity at the altar of elections. You know, Andy has vetoed so much legislation about abortion rights, about trans rights. He has done it in a red state that Trump won overwhelmingly. I think we lose before we even start fighting when we decide to sacrifice our own people. And because I don't know about you, but I start wondering who's next. Who else will get thrown under the bus to win elections? Is it me? I don't know. It's I want to find Democrats who are proud to be Democrats. I want to find Democrats who are fucking proud to stand up for trans people. I want to find Democrats who aren't ashamed to be woke. I want to find Democrats who are fucking proud warriors for what's right in a time when there's a whole lot of wrong. It's just the idea that we can be timid and sort of pussyfoot our way through this moment is fucking delusional. We're up against a man who's covering for Jeffrey Epstein and himself, and who wants to put Barack Obama in prison to distract from that. Do you think half measures and nice talk is going to beat that shit? Because it's not.
No, it goes back to what we've talked about many times, right? It's like if you don't stand up to the bully, the lunch bully on the first day of school, he's going to keep taking your money every day for the rest of the year, unless you beat the shit out of him. The Andy thing too, I just wanted to flag, a lot of people say, well, like Andy, is termed out, can't run again. But if you look at his reelection, one of the most prominent surrogates was Hadley, who I don't even think we need to give background on. Just everyone knows her by now, and she has an incredible story. But she told that story on the campaign trail when he was running for re-election on the issue of abortion, and he won overwhelmingly.
Yeah. And, I thought the Vogue story raised some interesting questions about Andy's style. I'm sitting here talking about how I want to see more people throw a punch, and Andy's not really a punch thrower. In fact, I remember, this is one of my mea culpas. I've been wrong about a lot of politicians. I was completely wrong about Andy. I was back in Kentucky covering the governor's race in 2015 when Andy was running for state attorney general. And I remember thinking, like, his dad was such a great politician, and his dad had taken some real bold moves, including expanding and bringing Obamacare to Kentucky. But with Andy, I just, I just wasn't sure what he was. Like, he's not, like I said,
And
somebody
we
who
weren't
throws
during the
punches.
primary, to be fully transparent. Sam and I were publicly out there for Adam Edlin.
Yeah, no, that's it. And
But
it's,
Andy did reach out afterwards and said, "Hey, I loved how hard you guys pushed for
Yeah.
Adam, and you came after me. I'd love to have you guys behind me going in the general." And we
Well,
were.
and the thing is, I'm ride or die with Andy. I mean, he's my home state governor. He has done so much for that state in his 2 terms. 2 terms where the Commonwealth has frankly seen a lot of tragedy, whether it's flooding or tornadoes. We've
Even
been,
in the last month.
that's it. Kentuckians have been through hell, and they're just damn lucky that Bashir has been there to sort of help them through it. But I sort of have the same questions. Like, can he be a knife fighter when it's necessary? He really hasn't had to sort of use that gear. He is sort of from that Obama school. Although I'll tell you one thing Andy does really well that other Democrats don't, is Andy talks about religion in a way that makes sense. He talks about, like, God's children. That's how he talks about trans people. We're all God's children. That I think is really moving. So, there's no such thing as a perfect candidate, right? Like, you always want to, like, Frankenstein a candidate, right? Well, like, give me this person's attack dog with, like, this person's religion and this,
Yeah, you
that
sometimes
doesn't
see, like,
exist.
the Christmas card from Andy, and it looks like something you'd get from a Republican, but there's no ARs in the picture.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the reality is he's just kind of a normal dude. Like, they weren't like super rich or anything like that. One of the things I laughed at from the profile in Vogue was that there are Crocs in the entryway of the governor's mansion. And yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the Crocs, but I think that
Look,
is,
I've never been a fan of Crocs, but like with a couple kids here, I still don't have any. But Paxton's got his Crocs, and Cameron's got his Crocs, and
Yeah.
I take Paxton to camp, and the camp guy, is ready there when we get there, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, big day for Paxton! I see you got those in sports mode." And I'm like, "What sports mode?" I just, I don't even know which way you put them on. But
Yeah,
hearing that from you, not having read the Vogue piece yet, I can understand it.
Yeah, I'm not going to piss off the Croc people today. I feel like I lost that battle. That war
I
a
never
long
liked.
time
I
ago.
mean, I never liked them, but
I mean,
Yeah.
it does. Look, I'm one of those people, though. I will wear, like, uncomfortable loafers if I think they look cool. I will suffer for fashion, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask here. But look, the idea that they're an anomaly, the reality is people wear Crocs, man, and then the governor of Kentucky does too. And it's that kind of normal human shit that we love. But no, I'm just going back to that story. The point that it raises about can Andy be vicious enough for the arena as it is now? That's going to be a big question, I think. As we're going through 2028, but we've got midterms to worry about first, and that's where my head is right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. I also think, look, if he were to get the nomination, right, there's plenty of people you could get to be sort of like, not the JD Vance, where it's like, you didn't say thank you, but more like, sort of the attack person. But I do think that we're getting to a point where people would just like normalcy,
No, I think that's
we're long
right.
past it, but maybe, I don't know. He's
Well,
very
I'll
counter to
say
conventional wisdom.
I will say this: normalcy was what we wanted in 2020. I don't think we have the luxury of just asking for normalcy in 2028. We're going to need to undo a shitload of damage. We're going to need to put some motherfuckers in prison. We're going to need a nasty streak. We're going to need to go after Nazis. And, the idea that we can just sort of, okay, everything's back to normal now, or, back to the high road. I just don't think that's realistic. I think we're going to be on a war footing,
I
and that's how we
agree.
have to think about it.
And it's probably a different show for a different day, but I think that's my biggest concern coming out of 2026, if we do well or whatever happens. But I just don't think that Democrats want to do that when they get the power. And it's like,
Yeah.
we need to go after everybody. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are. If you're a Democrat on the Epstein list, go after everybody. We have to fight the way that they do, but do it within the law and uphold the Constitution. And when you have the law here, you can be even more ethical within the law and go beyond. I
Mhm.
just think that we need somebody who's actually going to follow up and do all this stuff, right? Like once we get it, we want power, right? And then we wind up with listening to Mitch McConnell over Merrick Garland.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Joe Biden never pretended to be anything than what he was, right? He was the guy who talked a lot about his good friend Mitch McConnell. He was the guy who talked about reaching across the aisle. He was the guy who talked about bipartisanship. It drove us fucking crazy. On the day Trump was acquitted by the U.S. Senate for January 6th, Biden was in the Oval and he said, "Okay, it's time to move on." Like, what? What are you talking about? It's not time to move on. But that was Joe Biden. We wanted him to be John Wick, but he was Joe Biden, and that was
Yeah,
exactly.
we elected somebody who I think you've described it at many times as the right person for the right time that could heal and bring this country together during
Yeah.
COVID, which people forget about. But we never really had that conversation about, okay, now that we have that person in here, what are we doing from here?
Yeah. And the reality is we didn't heal. We just moved on. And to me,
It got worse. I mean,
That's it.
he
That's
did
it.
good things, but they were all,
Yeah.
reversed very quickly.
Yeah. Well, I think there are still so many Democrats who are operating with the mindset that Republicans are just one bad news cycle away from seeing the light, throwing Trump under the bus, and starting to govern responsibly again. And that's just fanciful thinking, because it's not going to fucking happen. So if you assume that that's not going to fucking happen, which it's not, then how do you act then? Because you don't keep talking about how great fucking Mitch McConnell is if that's the case, right? You start trying to beat his ass. And that to me is where I want to see more Democrats. I want to see a war footing. I want to see, not afraid to throw a punch. It's a hell of a thing living in a city that's been occupied by Marines. They just retreated, by the way. And I still see California legislators who are like, "Oh, I don't know if we should do redistricting, let's not be like Republicans." It's like, "Oh, you don't want to win?" Because that's what they're fucking doing. Anyway.
Yeah, it's another good point on your part. Sorry, I just had to
You got
decline
you
that
got
call.
you got to turn off your phone when we're doing this shit, man.
No, there's like a weird setting where one thing rings even when my phone's not on do not disturb. So I'm going to fix that afterwards.
Ridiculous.
But this was our longest therapy session yet. So I officially get paid for 2 hours from you. We're at an hour, 1 minute and 49 seconds.
Were there other questions?
I think that was it.
Nice.
We got the big ones. I will say there was one person on Substack who admitted that they had contributed to Elise her first run and regrets it. And I love when people just acknowledge,
Yeah.
hey,
Well, I mean,
we all
look,
make mistakes.
that's it. And look, I'm not trying to throw Slotkin under the bus.
No.
She-
But
she
like
may
my
be
better
doing what
half
she
voted
thinks
for
is
Donald
right.
Trump in 2016, where I had spent my entire adult life trying to elect Hillary.
But I think there is something to this. A person saying, "I regret giving to Slotkin," is the kind of thing Slotkin should take notice of, because I don't think our people realize where our base is right now, and they are sick and fucking tired of getting thrown under the bus. They're sick and tired of working their asses off for someone like Kirsten Sinema, for someone like John Fetterman, and then getting a knife stuck in their fucking back. So everybody's antenna is up right now, watching for Democrats who are going to sell us out again. And when you start trying to be that centrist Democrat, that DLC warmed over Democrat, I think it makes that antenna go even higher. People want to know what you stand for. They want to know who you really are.
Yeah, no, that's such a good point. And we've got a lot of family talking about Slotkin in Gloversville, New York, and I don't know. I would be scared if I were her. Last time I was up there, I thought it would be, a little closer, but like people are getting it and they're feeling it. So, but unfortunately, the latest bill they passed, as we know, a lot of the stuff they made so that it wouldn't take effect until after the election.
Yeah, I still think there's going to be a lot. We're going to see a lot of the fallout from that bill before the election. There's a reason Republicans are as fucking terrified as they are, and it's not just Jeffrey Epstein. That's a big reason for it.
I agree,
Not the
and
only reason.
I think that anything that won't take effect for people until after the election, we should be mailing and let them know what they're going to lose after the election. But hey, with that, a happy ending before we give people 60 seconds to finish their conversations.
I don't really have a good happy ending. I'm excited to see my family this week. It's been a little while. I'm the uncle who lives out in LA and spends all his time surfing and talking about politics. So it'll be nice to see the kiddos and drink some sweet tea and eat some barbecue and just relax for a little bit.
He's probably hoping that McRibs are back at McDonald's.
I have to say,
Can't get those out there.
Very good. I've been very good about not eating McDonald's. That was a tough one for me to give up, but I've been pretty good about not doing it.
Yeah, I don't do it either, but I'm always tempted. I do get their Diet Coke occasionally because it's got a different syrup than everything
I tell
else.
you, I even cut out soft drinks. I'm all about
Good for you.
water these days.
Yeah, you and your Topo Chico.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
All right. Well, we'll do a 60-second countdown for anyone who wants to keep chatting.
I just want to say before we go, thank you, everybody. I know I do this every week, but it really means the absolute fucking world to us that y'all join us and help us remember that we're not the only ones who need a therapy session. I promise you're not crazy. Those motherfuckers are. So thank you. Thank you for joining us and for keeping us relatively sane.
Yeah, totally. And we will get the for those that joined late or haven't seen it, we will get this posted early today. So Sam, send me a topper for this.
Will do.
With that, we'll do a 60-second countdown. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.